All right, welcome back. This is part 2 of Unit 4, Lesson 7. Thank you so much for joining me for this second video. This is going to be the one that's probably the more important and the most helpful for your homework. Okay, so I am on page 180. All right, so we're looking at number 26. Again, that's page 180, 180. And our problem is 1/10 of 1/4. Remember, of means times. 1/4 times 4/10, excuse me. So the first thing they want to know is what is 1/10 of 1/10? So maybe you think of it like this, 1/10 of times 1/10. Okay? Or if you'd have something that's a pan of brownies that you cut into 10 pieces, and then you cut each of those 10 pieces into 10 pieces, it's going to be 1/100th, right? 1/10 of 1/10. So then what's 1/10 of 4/10 is going to be 4/100ths. Okay, go ahead and copy that down. All right, number 27. Now we're going to do 1/10 times 4/100ths. So now think about what's 1/10 of 100th. So you've got 1/100th, you cut it into 10 more pieces, and you've got 1/1000th, right? We can write that like this. That's 1/1000th. Well, if you've got 1/10 of 4/100ths, it's going to be 4/1000ths. How many places did the 4 shift each time you multiplied? Okay, well, here it moved over 1, and here, from here to here, it multiplied over 1 more. Okay, so it shifted 1 place, and which way was that? It shifted over to the right. Ooh, my smartboard's off. Okay. Look at your answers. What pattern did you see in the number of decimal places in the products? And how is it related to the number of places in the two factors? Okay, this is where it gets to be important, boys and girls. So I want you to take a look at number 26. There was really one decimal point in that 1/100th. And how many decimal points in the 4/10ths? 1. And how many were in our answer? 2. Okay, look at this one. There's one decimal point in that 1/10th, and there's 2 decimal places in the 4/100ths. And how many in our answer? 3. Do you see the pattern? 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. So how is it related? Okay, the number of decimal places in the two factors added together gives you the number of decimal places in your answer, in your product. Remember, product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Let me write this in words for you, and I would like for you to copy this down. All right, let me read this to you. If you add the number of decimal places in the factors, you get the number of decimals in the product, or the answer. So copy that down. That's going to be a rule that you need to remember as we multiply these decimals. Go ahead and pause the video. All right. Moving on, number 30, they want us to figure out what 1/100th of 4 is. You could have done that before you even knew this lesson. So think about what's 1/100th of 1 would be 1/100th. So 1/100th of 4 would be 4/100ths, right? Now, same thing, only now we're doing 1/100th of 4/10. So it's kind of like you're dividing this answer into 10 parts, right? So you know what 1/100th of 1/10 is, would be 1/1000th. Either think of it like that or like that. So what would 1/100th of 4/10 be? It would be 4/1000. Okay, so from here, the 4 shifted over 2 places. And in what direction? It shifted to the right. Again, we're talking about the digits or the numbers shifting. Adults in your life might say the decimal shifts to the left. We're going to think of it as the numbers shifting to the right. Okay, so again, we're going to look at the number of decimal places in the factors and in the products. So up here, you had 2 decimal places, 1, 2, right? And none here. 2 plus 0 is 2. Look, 2 in your answer. Let's look at number 31. You've got 2 decimal places in this number, and you've got 1 decimal number in this number. And how many places in this one? 1, 2, 3. 2 plus 1 is 3. So, guys, the magic in multiplying 2 decimal numbers is all you have to do is add up the number of decimal places in the factors, and that tells you how many decimal places are in the answer. Turn your page, and we're not going to bother asking you to write the same thing in 3 different places. We're not going to write that same thing in 3 different places. And we're going to skip this number 35. This is really confusing for a 5th grader during a normal year, and during a COVID year, we're totally skipping that. But let's take a look at this one. Okay, so you've got 2/10 times 4/10. So we're going to just totally ignore those decimals and multiply. And I'm going to even ignore the zeros. What's 2 times 4? It's going to be 8. Okay, now let's figure out where the decimal goes in. You've got 1 decimal there, you've got 1 decimal there, 1 plus 1 is 2. So we've got to figure out where to put the decimal in that 8 so that we have 2 decimal places. Right now, because we don't have any decimal written down, it's really right there at the end, right? And we want to have 2 decimal places. If I put it right here, sorry, my smartboard's off. I put it right there, that's only going to be 1 decimal place. So to get it to have 2 decimal places, I'm going to put 0.08. Really, I should put a 0 in front of it. So 0.08 is my answer. Go ahead and copy that down. Let's try number 37. So if you think about 2/10 times 4/100, what would be 1/10 of 1/100th? It would be 1/1000th. So we know our answer is going to be in the thousandths place. 2 times 4 is 8, so we know our answer is going to be 8 thousandths. Okay, 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places, 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, let's go on to number 38. You've got 2 times 4/10. Well, 1 times 1/10 would be 1/10. 2 times 1/10 would be 2/10. 2 times 4/10 would be 8/10, 0.8. Okay, if you just look at the decimals in there, 0 decimal places in that 2, 1 decimal place here, 0 plus 1 is 1, there's 1 decimal place in my answer. Okay, see if you can do number 39 on your own, figure out where that decimal is without thinking about what 1/10 of 1/100th would be. If you got this for your answer, you were right. Notice how it's the same number as the number above it. There was 2 decimal places here, 1 decimal there. 2 plus 1 is 3. Up here it was 1 and 2. 1 plus 2 is also 3. All right, let's try some of these longer problems down below. I'm going to model, I think I'm going to model number 41 for you. I just want you to watch me on this one. Don't write anything down, but just watch me. And I'll show you a couple shortcuts. So I'm just going to totally pretend that decimal isn't even there, and I'm going to multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. Bring my 2 up. 6 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 6 times 0 is 0. If you really wanted me to, I could write that 0 out there. Personally, I think it looks a little weird, and I don't think we need that 0 out there. Just to make sure, I'm going to check. So I've got 2 decimal places here, and none there. 2 plus 0 is 2. So I need 2 numbers after my decimal, 1, 2. So that's where my decimal goes. So I guess I did need that 0 out there. All right, watch me do another one, and then I'm going to have you try one. I'm going to actually do this one right here. I think it's a little trickier. 6 times 4 is 24. 0 times, oops, I forgot to put my 2 up there. 6 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 6 times, okay, and if you wanted me to, I could put zeros down here and do this number, and then another 0 down, and then do those other numbers, but it's always just going to end up to be 24 when I add it up. So when you have those extra zeros in there, you really don't need to do those at all. So if you remember, my answer was 24 here, right? Okay, but now we have to figure out where the decimal goes. There's 1 decimal place in the top number, sorry, my smartboard's off, and 2 in the next one. 1 plus 2 is 3. So this is a little bit of a challenge. Right now my decimal is right here. If I move it here, if I move it over here, then I only have 1 decimal place. If I move it over here, I have 2 decimal places. So how am I going to get 3 decimal places? If you said add a 0, you're the smartest person in the room right now. There you go. It would be 0.024, and to make it look really good, I should put a 0 out there. So the answer there is 0.024. All right, I want you to try number 42 right here. Okay, again, when you multiply it, you get 24. And if you really wanted to, you could do the zeros underneath there, but I don't really think we need them. 1 decimal place in the top, 1 in the bottom. So you have 1 plus 1 is 2. I can put my decimal right there, and then I have 2 decimal places at the end. 0.24. Okay, I would like you to try one more. I'd like for you to try this one right here. Ready, set, go. Number 46. If you said the answer is 3.6 or 3 6/10, you were absolutely right. All right, turn over to the next page. And I think with ease you could do some of these top ones. Let's just do number 49 for kicks. Try that one very quickly. So 3 times 4 is 12. 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places. Uh-oh, if I put it right here, it's going to only have 2 decimal places, so I have to add a 0. So it's 0.012, 0.012. Okay? All right, let's have you try number 55. So I hope you got this answer right. Notice that there's a 0 before that 32. Okay, I'm going to give you a little tip on number 59. Notice how there's a 0 and a 7 on the top factor, and the bottom factor has 2 numbers. It always bugs me when there's a 0 in there, so I would do this. Because now when I multiply, I just have 1 row of numbers here. If I do this one, first I've got to multiply by the 2, then I have to put down my 0, and I have to multiply by the 4. So if you have one that has just 1 digit in it, flip it around. Okay, go ahead and solve that. When you multiply, you get 294, 1 decimal place in the top, 1 in the bottom factor. 1 plus 1 is 2. Oop, that's not right. It should be 2.94. Okay, 2 numbers, 2 decimal numbers. All right, we don't have a whole lot of time, but let's just try setting up a problem. Number 60, Benjamin bought 6.2 pounds of rice. Each pound cost 90 cents. Here's how you'd set that up. And then it's a multiplication problem. Okay, all right, good luck on your homework. Do your best. See you around.